And I do have a poll going right now. For those of you that have joined the webinar and have not done it yet, please look for the poll. It should have popped up. We are streaming now on YouTube.
That's awesome.
Cool.
And we'll get started here. We'll get started in about 3 minutes.
Hey, Steve, what's the YouTube channel URL, or what should I search for?
That's a great question. I'm going to post a link right now to the video that's live streaming.
Okay. Thanks, man.
And that'll get you into the YouTube part. So this will actually be the second video that's going up on the YouTube page. I have one other video that is pending for an Autotask endpoint management tech chat we did, and that one's just still being edited because apparently I had a lot of customer information on my AEM screen.
Oh no.
Which I don't want out there.
Right.
So, Ryan, I don't know if you're able to, if you look down near the share screen button, there should be one called polls.
Yeah.
And I polled everyone to see if they're doing anything today.
Wow, that's sweet.
That's cool. I don't see results though.
Okay. So I will kind of share the results audibly. So I see 10 out of 17 people have answered the poll. The questions hopefully aren't too invasive or annoying. What accounting solution do you use today? QuickBooks Desktop, QuickBooks Online, 0. We've got a couple people that said other, even though QuickBooks for Mac and FreshBooks were in the list.
Okay.
More people do not have any AR or AP automation today. And the people that have AR automation, the people that do have it are saying other. There are 5 people here that have not heard of Connect Booster before today.
Oh, that's great. Cool. Awesome.
And most one person has demoed Connect Booster before today.
Okay.
And we've got 2, 3, 4 people spending 3 or more hours doing invoicing and receiving payments today.
Yeah.
Would you like to spend less time collecting money from clients? 13 people have answered, of course, I've got more important things to do.
Yeah.
One person answered, nah, I love wasting my time on non-billable administrative stuff. So I gotta have fun with these polling questions.
Hey, I like that. That fits my style.
Yes. So I guess I should introduce people. I never know which way to point to Webley. Webley is a permanent fixture of Steve's webinars. One more way I have fun with my webinars. Webley is the cute little bear in the corner of my screen. And for those of you wondering what's up with the balloons, I just adopted a couple of kids on Monday. Our 2 foster kids we adopted, so
it's pretty great.
We had some people come in and congratulate us. Thank you, Ryan. And I have one of them over in the other room with an upset tummy. So
oh,
no. As he comes over to hear why we're talking about him.
Yeah.
So if I disappear for a moment, it's because I'm helping out my little one, and I apologize for having to do so, but the show must go on.
Agreed.
And with that, let's get moving. It's 1:01. I'd like to, here he comes. I'd like to introduce everyone to Ryan Goodman. Ryan is with Connect Booster, and he is here to educate us on how we can automate some of our billing, how we can do this automation in a way that also allows us to charge more for what we're already doing, and make us kind of look like a hero for charging more. Is almost kind of how I feel when I sent my customers the letter that you guys wrote that said, hey, we're raising our prices, but we won't raise it as hard if you put a credit card or bank account on file.
Yeah.
So So without further ado, Ryan, please take it away.
Awesome. Will do. Thanks, Steve. Appreciate
Yes.
it a ton. Excited to be here. Excited to show you guys what we do. And are you guys able to see my screen okay? I want to make sure that we're...
If you hit the share screen button, you can choose which screen or window to share.
Oh, perfect. Here we go. And that's the screen we want. Desktop 2, share screen. Perfect. Makes total sense. Incredible. So like Steven said, I am the president and one of the original founders of Connect Booster at a higher level. I'm also one of the partners in an organization named BNG Holdings. And so to give you a little background on myself and just a little overview in history, been in the payments space since 2005. And started as a feet on the street salesperson, helping businesses, typically small retail, accept electronic payments more efficiently at a better price. And in 2007, started a corporation with my two other business partners that were sales guys with me, and started serving larger clients. The birth of Connect Booster as a product was born out of pain when we purchased a point of sale company. And so in the payment space, we quickly realized that larger deals, larger accounts were using some type of a software or some type of an integration to facilitate payments. When we purchased that point of sale company, we were really ill prepared to run a technology company. And through the course of time and education, we have become to run that company very well and very efficiently. And we resell a product called Restaurant Manager. And in fact, in that ecosystem of about 100 dealers, if there is a lead that comes in where there is not an authorized service dealer within 100 miles, they send it to us. They send it to our team, B&G Point of Sale, because we run that organization like a managed service provider. So we have hourly, it's all monthly support contracts, no hourly break fix work. And it's a streamlined process using a PSA tool. One of the big hitches in the chain was a lack of getting paid process. And the funny thing is, guys, we were like the poster children for individuals that would have about any tip, trick, or tool at their fingertips to help automate recurring payments inside of our business, being in the payments industry. But again, we were ill prepared for not getting paid because we were so used to being paid on an automated basis inside of the payments industry. We couldn't fathom the fact that a client wasn't paying us on time for implementing the project or even service work that we were doing. Even though it was recurring service work, didn't mean that we were getting paid on a recurring basis. And we had some pain inside of that with the tools that we had at our disposal. So many of you guys will, Authorize.net might come to mind, for example, is a really popular tool that can handle recurring payments. And in fact, if you do a little research, there's hundreds of them out there. Where the pain came into play was we had fluctuations in our recurring contracts. So whether it was user-based or it was based on data backup that was rising, just because that customer had a recurring agreement or contract with us did not necessarily mean that their bill was going to be the same every month. And so there was a lot of pain in that. And so Connect Booster was originally designed to eliminate that pain and automate our processes of getting paid. It was built as an internal tool. And over the course of time, as we've become a company that sells to other businesses like us, and that's been since 2012. We debuted at IT Nation. Our first integration was with ConnectWise and QuickBooks Desktop. We debuted at IT Nation in 2012. We've been roaring forward ever since, and have just about to cross the 1,000 mark with partners. And as far as users, that's multiple times over, but I'm just about to cross that 1,000 partner piece. Little known fact behind the scenes, we're also the payments partner from a B&G branding standpoint for all of TigerPaw, not only corporately, but also all of their partners. So that's in addition to the portfolio of just straight up Connect Booster software users. And then again, at a greater level, when we talk about B&G as a payments company, we're just about 6,000 clients. So we've done this a long time. We're experts at helping people automate their processes of getting paid, and we've lived it, and we still live it today. And we understand the pain as a service provider that we all deal with, and we're passionately devoted to helping you guys get through those challenges. So to speak to some of the questions that were in the poll up front as far as just core integrations, from an accounting package status, what we integrate to today. So don't want to talk about vaporware stuff. I want to talk about what we're doing today. QuickBooks Desktop, pretty much any version of QuickBooks Desktop as well as Enterprise. QuickBooks Online, Xero. There's some intricacies with Xero depending on your PSA tool. So there may be some questions around that, but Xero. And we also work with Microsoft Dynamics Great Plains, more of an enterprise type of a solution. Steve, you had talked a little bit about a roadmap in the future. From a PSA perspective and roadmap, that's going to be Kaseya, as well as from an accounting perspective, it's Microsoft Dynamics 365 is what we're working on. Integrations into PSA packages, ConnectWise, Autotask, just recently releasing Kaseya. We work with a lot of people in an organization called the 20, and they're moving over to Kaseya. So we're finishing up that integration in beta, ready to go live here by the end of July, realistically. And then from an accounting-only user, we have what's called a PSA independent version. So you do not need to be running a PSA tool to take full advantage of what Connect Booster has to offer. And to speak about what Connect Booster does, we're all about making it as easy as possible for clients to give you money. We're all about making it as easy as possible for you to collect dollars from your clients. And that's some of what we're going to look into today here. What you're seeing a view of is the Connect Booster login screen. Now, as we log in, we're going to see a first view of what's called the admin area. So this is you as a Connect Booster partner interfacing with the tool. There's also a customer portal aspect of this as well. So from an online bill pay perspective, recurring billing perspective, and as well as just the image that you're portraying to your clients, and customer portal represents you very well. And I'm going to log in and we'll start digging into these details. I'm going to hold questions to the end because I think I'm probably going to answer a number of them through this, but we'll get through the overall just top-down demo, and we'll go through and start asking some questions because I love that Q&A interaction. I think it's going to add a whole lot of value to our engagement here today. So the Connect Booster login screen, what you're seeing is our brand here. The intention is when you come on board as a Connect Booster partner, this is going to be your brand, not only your login screen, but also this is the same view that your clients will see as they access the Connect Booster portal. From a customer viewing end, again, it's going to have your logo. You'll see blue and orange here as primary, secondary colors. The intention is to have those primary and secondary colors match your brand and site, okay? Whether you're connecting through a PSA or accounting only, very easy to manage access to the software, very self-serve. Once a client's been logged in, they can, it's very low maintenance, reset login, password, all of that as you'd come to expect from a login page. We'll log into the product here. And again, the first view that we're going to take a look at here, guys, is the overall admin screen. And what we are looking at here is a top-down view of AR. So I like to call these first couple lists here your worst offenders lists. The guys that have either the highest balances or highest balances plus what's past due inside of that list. If we roll on down, we're just monitoring synchronization status of the integrations, what they may be inside of the Connect Booster configuration or the setup that you have with us, as well as a view of what's called the payments calendar. I like to lovingly call this the cash flow calendar. As president and executive inside of the organization, this is one of the areas that I love to come in and take a quick look, because it's going to show me what cash is projected to come in on an automated basis over the course of the month. So you'll notice here we have auto pay and we have scheduled payments, a couple of different ways that payments can come in to our businesses on an automated fashion with Connect Booster. Auto pay. What auto pay is a recurring dollar amount that's going to come in with no action. Once that auto pay rule has been set up, whether it's an auto pay trigger based on a recurring contract or agreement coming from a PSA tool, or a custom net term that we can drive an auto pay off of coming out of the accounting package. These are dollars when an invoice fits a criteria that we've predetermined. It's going to auto pay once that configuration has been set up month after month after month when it sees an invoice that follows that configuration. We'll dig into auto pay. That's going to make a lot more sense here in a second, but that's actually the true definition of recurring revenue, right? Doing work one time and being paid over and over and over and over again. That is the true definition of recurring revenue. And so we have the ability to take action one time with Connect Booster on a configuration. And as you do your invoicing, you're automatically going to get paid over and over and over again. And we automatically deal with the fluctuations in dollar amounts. So if any of you guys are dealing with recurring payments today and you're constantly having to match a third-party billing tool up to what your invoicing says, or that third-party billing tool is going to do something wrong, we eliminate that inefficiency. AutoPay essentially can never bill your client wrong. It's all invoice driven. Scheduled payments. Scheduled payments are a little different. Think about logging in to make a mortgage payment. And let's say you don't have your mortgage payment set on AutoPay recurring. You like to review that every month, but I get a notification on the 1st. I know I have a grace period till the 15th, and I'm going to schedule that payment on the 5th. Logged in on the 1st, want it coming out on the 5th, boom, on the 5th it's going to come out. That's what scheduled payments are. If I drill into each one of these, I can get a view of what they are in terms of a breakdown. So if I look inside of my scheduled payments, I'm going to see what company those are for and the dollars. Same thing with AutoPay, and I can click back. From a portfolio management point of view, you'll see we have links to the top 8 here. We have a search bar here. We have a search bar in the upper right. I like to you can use any of them. In my demo scenario here, I'm just going to click into demo company. I have the most content and invoicing that's easily accessible from an accounting perspective right here. So if I click into demo company inside of my portfolio, now I'm getting a view of that client in and of themselves. And still we're looking at an admin point of view, right? So this is your side of the tool. I can see customer details. Another important point of the software is we really serve as a piece of middleware, whether it's pulling data from accounting or pulling data from the PSA and accounting at the same time. There's very little configuration or data entry that needs to go into Connect Booster because we're bringing information, we're bringing in the existing contacts from either the PSA or the accounting side and allowing you to create a user based on them. So here's a user I have set up inside of demo company. I can get some details about them. From this screen, I can set security settings for what they have access to, don't have access to. There's a set of email notifications that I can push right from a contact level. So I could send this new user a welcome email, for example, bringing them on board and introducing them to Connect Booster. I could work with them on any type of a password reset. Maybe they weren't inclined to use the login screen functionality. I can send them an account summary. So this speaks to some of the additional automation that we provide, not only in payments and accounting reconciliation, but also sending out notifications based on the status of their account, what invoices are new, current, past due, as well as a summary of payment information inside of our PCI compliant and secure customer vault that will let them know if payment information has been expired. So if I drill back to demo company here, another thing that we're going to demonstrate is payments that come into Connect Booster, whether it's a one-time payment being made by you, by your end client through the end client portal, or through one of those auto pay functions. All of those payments flow back through to accounting. We automate the receive payment steps inside of accounting, eliminating all of the admin time that goes into receiving a payment traditionally, whether that be credit card, ACH, or check, and going in and having to find the company, find the invoice, mark the payment method, mark the dollar amount. All of that is automated in the process of using Connect Booster. And I can certainly demonstrate that on a couple different ways, QuickBooks Desktop as well as QuickBooks Online, which I have spun up here in terms of a online demo that we have access to right now today. I'm getting an overall view of their balance and then the breakdown of the invoices that compile that balance. So as an admin using Connect Booster, you guys have the ability to go in and actually make a payment. Let's say a client is on the phone. Another big benefit to this is you could have other staff members inside of your organization actually be able to run a payment, but not necessarily have to have direct QuickBooks or accounting access to be able to do that. This allows you another layer of security around that without giving someone access to accounting. So as I clicked on pay selected invoices, I have one in here. I have a number of different payment methods inside of my wallet. So another reason that a lot of people seek us out is due to the PCI compliance aspect. If any of you have ever dealt with the awesomeness of a self-assessment questionnaire, if you do accept credit cards as a payment method, it can be a real pain in the butt. We make that process so simple. You'd qualify for a very simplified self-assessment questionnaire inside of that world. We help you out with that. The point being, this data that we're looking at and having access to, we don't have true access to the real data. In fact, to get technical, Connect Booster as a piece of software doesn't even have access to this data. It's all held inside of our PCI compliant, what we call customer vault in the backend payment gateway. And so this is simply just a token, again, I know I'm speaking to a bunch of technical individuals, so feel comfortable digging this deep. We're just passing a token to the payment gateway to execute. We remove the headaches, most importantly, around PCI compliance and data security. If we were to click on a payment method here or a checking account here, you'll notice that it's defaulted to pay the full invoice. Let's say, for example, I have a client that I need to make a partial payment for. I can certainly do that. Make a $75 payment. Let's say it's hardware, one to receive 50% down on hardware. I can submit that payment. At this point, I could also schedule a future payment. How we saw that blue tab on the calendar, so I could schedule out a future payment here if I wanted. Let's go ahead and run this payment just so you guys can see this live. I'm going to confirm it. And at this point, it's going to process that payment. It's going to send out an automated payment receipt with payment details on it to my end client. And you'll see the default contacts that are here against the account profile. I can also send a one-off email if I'd like. So we'll just do that live, send it, and complete that payment. In fact, I'll use my little snip tool here. I'll see that payment receipt come through here momentarily, and I'll pull that over just so you guys see a view of what that looks like as well. As we continue on, looking at any pending payments, things that need to sync over to the accounting package. And in fact, let's go over and just take a quick look. We made a payment on CB 6356. I'm going to give you a QuickBooks Desktop demonstration of the accounting integration here. So here was our 975 CB 6356. This little guy in the QuickBooks Desktop integration, we use what's called the QuickBooks Web Connector. It's QuickBooks authorized, supported way for devs to push information in and out of their desktop applications. This little guy runs on an automated basis every 15 minutes. I can also run it on demand at any time. And so I'm going to do that just for example's sake. And about the 50% mark or so, we're going to see that payment reconcile. And so pretty cool scenario when we're looking at single payments, but any of you that have a portfolio of recurring type services that you offer your clients, imagine that being 20, 30, 40, 100. We have a huge base of clients that smaller MSPs, larger MSPs, guys that are break fix, project work, all of that. A large mix of service providers that use the software, and each has a bit of a different ROI. So smaller organization, the ROI comes into play on time that's being spent on admin work that should be billable or working on your business in another fashion. It's eliminating the redundant tasks that are actually costing you a ton of money by doing them yourselves. And think about whose time is valuable inside of a smaller organization. Your time is extremely valuable as a billable rate. Any time that you're not billing is, and that time is being spent on this type of stuff, is just bleeding cash. To think about a bit larger organization where the pain comes into play is they have lots of recurring stuff and lots of variables in their monthly billing, even though, again, the client's recurring contract is recurring, it doesn't mean the dollar amount is static, and that amount of pain being eliminated, again, huge ROI for those types of a client. So it depends on the size of your business where you see the most benefit, but the good thing is you're going to continue to see value as you continue to grow and scale as well in a different manner. You're going to quit spending your time. You can put staff in place to a very simple system where they're not wasting their time. They can continue to add value to the business beyond doing redundant tasks. Scheduled payments out here for demo's sake. Again, we're getting a view of the payments calendar from a single company point of view. We see a view of payment methods, a view of credit memos. Again, this is going to relate over to the end client portal again. So again, just keep in mind, we're looking from an admin perspective or your user's perspective. Now let's talk a little bit about autopay. Very powerful. I'd say one of our silver bullet tools. I've touched on it a couple times in our conversation today, but autopay, again, is the function of doing work one time and getting paid over and over and over again on an automated basis. So we have a number of different triggers here that we're taking a look at. Each is relevant in its own way, depending on the tool set that you guys are using. So if I look at autopay here by what's called a contract type, okay? This is for an individual that's using a PSA, let's say like Autotask or ConnectWise. Inside of those tools, you have agreements and contracts that you'll issue recurring invoices from. And what our system is doing in that scenario is it's pulling through the contract or agreement types from the PSA that are available, and we're making a choice on, in this scenario, for demo company, any invoice that is created against a contract or agreement type called Platinum Managed Services. Again, this is pulling from a PSA solution. On the due date of that invoice, when we see it in the accounting package, it's automatically going to get paid. And we don't care about the dollar amount. Let me describe that process to you. Our autopay process is looking inside of your accounting package file every single morning. When it finds an invoice that's due, it starts asking questions. And in this scenario, it's asking, where did the invoice come from? Where was it created? In this specific scenario, we see that it was sent over from a PSA solution. In that case, we start talking to the PSA solution through its APIs and saying, hey, what type of an invoice is this? In this scenario, we say, hey, it's an invoice that was issued from Platinum Managed Services, and it's due today. Okay, is the client, demo company, opted in Yes, in this scenario they are. Do they have a payment method on file? Yep. In this scenario they do, and it's due, and it matches, again, that agreement/contract type. It's going to go and automatically trigger that payment, automatically reconcile it inside of the accounting package for you. Seamless. All you have to do is send out your invoicing like you always do. We don't change that process. Our integration isn't trying to change how you're doing all of that. We're creating automation where it doesn't exist today in dealing again. So if this, in this scenario, let's say it was $3,700 last month, but next month it's $4,000, doesn't matter. That same process still applies. The invoice is due. It was created from the recurring agreement or contract. Client is opted in, payment method on file, pay it. A couple other different types of auto pay. I'll also explain the lock and unlock buttons here in a moment. We can trigger an auto pay from a custom net term. This is for those individuals that maybe aren't using a PSA such as Autotask or ConnectWise, but are using QuickBooks. They're using Xero. They're using QuickBooks Online. They're using even Great Plains. Let's say I've got users that use Great Plains with Salesforce. Still an awesome solution for them. Auto pay in that scenario, everybody has a set of net terms that they're issuing invoices from, whether that's due on receipt, net 30, whatever net terms you issue invoices to for your clients. What we can do is create a custom net term with you inside of your accounting package. In this scenario, you'll see AP net 10 is what we have chosen. Again, you see we're pulling through all the net terms. We're just choosing in our scenario what is going to qualify as auto pay. And we map that up. And so same principle applies. We're looking inside of the accounting package, our auto pay process every morning. We see an invoice due. We start asking questions. Hey, this was issued from QuickBooks Online or Xero. Hey, it has a net term that we recognize as an auto pay net term. Is this client opted in for it? Yes. Do they have a payment method on file? Yes. Okay, it's due today. Pay that invoice for whatever the accounting package says is due. Doesn't matter the dollar amount. It qualifies by that trigger. So again, you could have a memorized transaction inside of your accounting package that's producing those invoices on a recurring basis. Those dollar amounts you could adjust and fluctuate. There's no input that you need to do inside of Connect Booster to make sure it's going to bill the right dollar amount. It's all invoice driven. So it's very efficient. You're not having to worry about billing your client wrong. You can essentially never bill your client wrong. Because if the invoice is right, the software is going to do what it's supposed to do and bill that dollar amount. Another scenario on auto pay, and there are several more, but these are the three most common. Auto pay underneath a dollar amount threshold. And so what this means is, let's say we have a client that says, I have a card on file. Anytime you have an invoice that's under, in this scenario, $250, just give me my net term. You know, if it's a net 30, I'll let you know if I have any questions on it, you know, but just take care of it. I don't even want to think about it. You know, I'll let you know again if I have any questions. So this can override anything, whether it's hardware, whether it's a service agreement, whether it's project work, whether it's anything. In this scenario, if this is activated, any invoice type that we see on its due date that falls under $250 is going to get paid by this payment method for this client. Again, all of these payments are going to automatically reconcile themselves inside of the accounting package for you, saving you hours and hours and hours of time on a monthly basis. Full invoice history, full transaction history. This flows through to the end client portal as well, which I want to show you guys now. I believe this one has some ConnectWise branding, so don't let that throw you off. So this is a view of the end client portal. So the login screen that we looked at when we initially came into the software, same type of interaction for your client. It's going to be your brand. Again, this is not going to be Connect Booster. This is going to be your brand, your logo. We help you do that, configure that in the setup. Primary, secondary colors are going to be you. These ads are not ConnectWise ads, Autotask ads, they're not Connect Booster ads. They're nobody's ads, but your ads. We have the ability to create a little slideshow. It's very easy to set up and configure, where you can be driving new product, service that you're offering, so your client can see it. You can have this tied to an explainer video about anything you can imagine. We can tie to a hyperlink, to a landing page on a website to engage with the client with a call to action. So you'll notice if I click on this, it's going to pull over to a landing page. Get my little tool out of the way here at the top. There we go. So this is intended for you. Again, branding. The other intention is, as technology clients, the world is becoming more and more and more of an automated business economy. Okay, I think we can all agree. How many of us have Amazon Prime? How many of us have ever ordered groceries online? How many of us interact with Verizon Wireless or T-Mobile or a wireless carrier, our mortgage company, and we interface with them online? And as technology companies, it's really interesting, and I have been guilty of this myself in the past, how many barriers we often put in front of our clients to actually give us dollars. They have to physically write us a check. They have to call us during business hours to make a payment. And the point is, automated billing and the efficiencies that we can provide in Connect Booster at some point are really not going to be an option to stay cutting edge and have that image of a cutting edge technology company. Okay. And we're providing that type of value, that same type of solution stack that your clients today already expect from large vendors that they work with, whether it's on the business side or the consumer side. And we're able to offer that same type of solution stack and image to your end clients for, I guarantee, pennies on the dollar of what those other guys are doing. And its intention is to give them full transparency of billing. So you're going to have conversations today with clients about recurring billing, and they're going to buck the system. I've dealt with it before. I've dealt with all of the objections. I've done it. I was the guy that literally helped automate our AR process inside of B&G Point of Sale and B&G Technologies. I was the guy doing the grunt work. And I can tell you, most people up front are going to be resistant to the idea of recurring billing. But when you frame that up inside of the transparency and full 360-degree view of accounting that you're going to give them access to, it's now not about recurring billing and you took the keys to the cookie jar. It's about efficiency for both parties, and you're not taking any control away from them. And guys, inside of our businesses, if yours is anything like my, cash is king, cash flow is king, it is paramount. And on the flip side of that, we're either growing or dying. As a business owner, I opt to grow. I want to grow aggressively, and automation is one of those tools to do it, but it should be simple for the end client. And this is one of those ways that we can offer a whole lot of value, transparency, and have the client's interests aligned with our interests at the same time and execute on automation. So for example, the client is here and they can see their total balance, past due balance. They see all of their payment methods. They could add a payment method here on the fly. Keep in mind, guys, credit card is not something that's required to use our system. A lot of times that's misinterpreted here because we have it. I am a huge fan of electronic check /ACH. And in fact, I'd say about 85% of all our revenue across our 4 organizations that we run, dollars are collected ACH. So keep that in mind if you want to have a conversation. I mean, it's so dang inexpensive. And instead of uploading an ACH file to the bank and constantly auditing what those dollar amounts for invoicing are against the ACH upload file, again, using an autopay configuration against a checking account is going to completely automate that process of getting paid via ACH, and at the same time eliminate all of that reconciliation. So again, back to the view of what they have what they're able to do. So we have all these different payment methods. Again, client can self-manage. We have an open invoices screen that'll paginate if there's more than 4 or 5 here. They're seeing a payment history view as well as an insight into open credit, which is really nice. A lot of times they don't have that type of insight, so they can contact you for the application of that credit. If they click on any one of these 3 screens here, It's going to take them to their open invoices page, much like how we looked at in the admin side. This gives them filtering tools. If there's a bunch of invoices, ideally they're all on auto pay, so you don't have a ton of outstanding invoices. But then this flows into a full comprehensive invoice history. Okay. You notice I have a bunch of them here in my test data, so it's giving us the countdown. Clients can search for an invoice number in here, can search through for a dollar amount, can sort. We can sync data back from, let's say you'd install today, we can go back 2-3 years. So there's instant content. Huge value to this as a client is, let's say they contact you, they're looking for something from the end of 2016. Geez, they can self-serve on the portal at any time of day or night and get access to that information now. Same thing with payments. Another important note on payments is the fact that whether that payment went through Connect Booster or not, it's going to show up in our payments history because of our integration with accounting. We're pulling that data in. So if a client sends you a check for $1,000 and they have 2 invoices for $600 open, what do? You're entering $600 against one invoice, $400 against the next, and you have a $200 remaining open balance. And the client calls and asks where those were applied. They can easily come in and see where those were applied. They could look for a payment and see what invoice that was applied to. Again, transparency in finance, and it's key. If they're looking for a specific dollar amount, they can use our filter tool from a transaction, total payment, date level, giving them easy access to that information at their fingertips. Again, auto pay. You'll notice that we have a locked auto pay and unlocked auto pay, and I told you I was going to talk to you a little bit about that. So a locked auto pay means the end client cannot modify it, and they can't delete the payment method that's associated with it. So let's say you had a client on a recurring type service and you gave them a good deal for paying via e-check / ACH. You gave them a discount. You could lock that auto pay type so they could not come in and change that payment method out to a credit card in the future. You can lock down what you guys have agreed to. An unlocked auto pay is a very powerful tool to the fact that an end client could modify the payment type. They could actually opt out of auto pay. Where that sounds like a disadvantage up front is a huge advantage in the fact that we send you immediate notification if a modification is made from an end client to an unlocked auto pay. So it gives you immediate insight into what's going on inside that client's mind. So let's say they weren't happy with service. They didn't feel like their needs were met. They were angry at a staff member. And you see that it's a lot better to have that action while giving them control on auto pay than them just not paying you for 60 days. At least now you can engage that client, figure out what went wrong, and resolve the situation. The other power in the ability to have an unlocked auto pay is that conversation with the client that says, I don't want you to withdraw monthly automatically from my checking account. I don't feel comfortable with it. Well, that's fine. Most of them don't feel comfortable with it because of the fact that if they've ever done something like that before, they didn't have control to turn it off. Again, this is not about taking control away from your clients. It's about creating efficiency and then consistent cash flow for you. And the client could log on here 11:59 on Christmas Eve and undo auto pay in those scenarios. So we are not taking control away from them. We're improving efficiency for anyone, and it overcomes those objections from clients. So you can put a process into place. And this process oftentimes needs to start happening in the sales process. So I want to describe to you guys a little bit about our closing process inside of B&G Point of Sale. It's a face-to-face engagement. We are talking about what that project looks like, what project onboarding looks like, what our SLAs are going to be, for support, all of that. But sales individuals are also talking about the recurring services, how we're going to automate their processes of getting paid. We're talking about how we are going to get paid inside of that sales process, right? Because that conversation is going to happen at some point with your client. It's either going to happen up front or it's going to happen when they're not paying you on time. Either way, that uncomfortable conversation needs to have, and I'd much rather have it up front inside of that sales process, so we have clearly defined expectations going into the deal for both parties. Okay, and inside of the contract, when we're sitting down and we're signing the deal, I have an ACH authorization form. Notice I said an ACH authorization form at the end of that contract that they're signing off on. We're going back and we're setting up our auto pay trigger. In fact, the client portal is cool in and of itself, but the power of the admin tool and with the right sales process in place, the ideal situation is we're getting paid dollars month after month after month, and there's really no engagement from the end client unless there's an issue or they need to go see something. So we're certainly going to offer them up that transparency, but it's all about bringing in those dollars on an automated basis and taking control of that scenario. And Connect Booster allows you to do it with greater efficiency than the other tools out there on the market. Again, I'm not saying that this product has to be the end all to accomplish some of those initiatives. It certainly doesn't, but it takes the pain out of the things that will come up as you're taking those initiatives, just again, because we've been there, done that, and we've worked to eliminate that type of a pain. Boy, at this point, I have shown you guys a ton of information. I've talked too much. You give me the soapbox, I'll stand on it and preach all day. Apologize for that. Hope you guys are getting value, but I want to kick it over to Q&A and start answering some of these questions. And if you're cool with that, Steve, let's dig in. We'll see what we have
Absolutely.
or haven't addressed.
So one of the first questions I saw was, does Connect Booster work with the Canadian QuickBooks for desktop?
Yes, we do. Yep. Have Canadian clients. We have Canadian EFT integration and credit card through Bambora and their gateway. That's going well. Have clients of all sizes right now working in Canada. So,
are there any other countries that you guys are working in right now?
So we're on the cusp of Australia and New Zealand. I actually have my payments partner figured out. It's a long time relationship, just being in this industry for a while. The big thing are some UI changes that we need to make, and that flows through to the Canadian customers too. English isn't always English the same across just English itself. And so specifically on the Australia, New Zealand is changes inside of the UI for electronic check format, which are different. And so we're close. I have a little bit of hesitation. I want to make sure that we understand our support model really well going into such a shift in time zone, because we're a product that it's not like if it's not doing what it needs to do or you need support that, hey, I can't log in or user. It's like, where's my $50,000? I'll fly to Fargo, North Dakota and have a conversation with you for that. So we take that very seriously, and support is obviously utmost important. So it's more the support model and a couple of technical issues. UK as well is very close, but it's hard to make a promise on exact timeline, if that makes sense.
That sounds good. And then I think you answered this, but I just want to circle back for Ian. Do you support EFT, or that could be also ACH from Canadian banks?
Yes. So the solution that's integrated into Connect Booster, whether it's Canadian EFT or US-based ACH, works with all banks inside of that country. So it's what's called a third-party transfer. We can pull from any bank and push to your bank account, and so you're not restricted by end client banks or the bank that you currently work with. We'll help you set that up, and the answer is yes. It's quite simple.
Excellent. And you mentioned that there were some intricacies with Xero.
Mm-hmm.
So what exactly does that mean?
Yeah, really good question. So it's specifically related to ConnectWise users. Okay, so ConnectWise in their integration has functions, let's say in a QuickBooks desktop scenario, where invoices that are created in ConnectWise will transfer over to QuickBooks via a tool that ConnectWise has created. Same thing with QuickBooks Online. There is a tool that is ConnectWise made and branded that will transfer that information over. One of the issues with Xero right now is there's no ConnectWise branded tool. It's a third-party tool that brings the ConnectWise invoices over into Xero. Once those invoices are inside of Xero, we can do all of that automation. And if you're an Autotask user, they do a really good job of bringing invoices from Autotask over to Xero. If you're a Xero user in and of yourself and creating invoices in Xero, and you want to use our PSA independent model, which again, the same feature set and functionality, just a different way of how we're using triggers for autopay, works great because of the integration with it. It's more for ConnectWise users, that transfer of data from the PSA tool to accounting. And we have roadmapped where we want to build that tool, but it's just not necessarily fully baked yet for a ConnectWise user.
And I've got another question here on your percentage charges.
Yeah.
So how does that work?
Sure. When you're talking about like credit card processing fees, yeah, that's a really good question, and it's an insane world. I've been in it in a long time. There's a lot of if let's say we were to take everyone on the call and look at your credit card processing statement, each one of you is going to be priced a little different, and each one of you is going to have a different billing format, and those fees are going to be formulated in a different way. The most important thing to understand is all service providers are working with the same master wholesalers. And the end billing is oftentimes intended to be pretty confusing. I'd say that whole industry is worse than used car sales. There's a lot of really great people that do it, but there's a lot of non-regulation, a lot of nasty things that can happen inside of that world. So knowing that we're all dealing with the same base wholesalers and the same base hard costs from the card brands, we can start talking about what is effective rate. So it takes all the different pricing strategies that are out there and it throws them out the window. At the end of the day, what's really important in credit card processing is, let's say I have $10,000 that I ran. What did it cost me all in? Percentages, transaction fees, you're going to see a flat monthly fees. Sometimes you're going to see things named Watts fees and all kinds of different crazy stuff on your billing statement, depending on the format and the payment platform. But what did it cost to run the $10,000 overall? And when you get into what's called effective rate, the total bill, right around in that low 3%, high 2% range for a card not present transaction, that's where you're getting very, very competitive inside of that world. And that's exactly what we're going to show you. Typically what we do with that in mind as a target effective rate, being very competitive, is then we will do an analysis of your billing statement and show you how we're going to get you down to that level. Some guys are going to have a billing format that's called cost plus. We can relay that and show you how that effective rate is going to get reduced by showing you an apples to apples comparison on your billing type today. Some of you guys are going to have what we call a bundled or a tiered type of billing statement. We've seen it all. It's difficult to even demonstrate or describe without looking at your billing statement one-on-one, but the end goal is to get you down into that very, very low effective rate. And a lot of times where the industry is very deceptive is even you'll walk into a Costco and you'll say, what the heck, these guys are advertising a credit card rate of 1.5 or 1.25. When you dig into the details of what that is and you start looking at the fine print, there are all these other things for rewards kickback type card that you might make. Oh, that's only for swipe transactions or a certain debit card out of the 300 different types of cards you could accept as a U.S. business owner. And us as business to business cards, the costs on those card types are higher. And the way that we run those cards, card not present, it's a different scenario than what you're seeing up front. So that's why when I talk about that effective rate and card not present effective rate, there are certain hard costs that I can't avoid myself as a business owner. We could take all of the margin out of credit card processing, and it's still going to be in that mid to high 2% range for effective rate. It's just what it's going to be. And that's why when I start talking about a payment method as ACH, we can take a $10,000 payment that we receive. Okay, let's say we accept a credit card. Give or take, it's going to cost about $300 to run that 10 grand. It's unavoidable. I can take that same transaction via ACH and accept it for 50 cents, no percentage. That's the power of that as a payment method. And Steve, I think you can attest to the fact that we have some pretty good strategies that we can help you lay out to push people towards ACH, as well as eliminate the pain around credit card processing fees if you approach it right with your portfolio when you're sending letters out on contract renewal date and covering some of those hard costs. Again, I'm not talking to you guys from I'm trying to sell you a product. I'd love for you to be a Connect Booster partner to help your business, but just understand that as a business owner, man, I just love talking to other entrepreneurs, number one. Number two, I'm not advocating for you to spend a bunch of money to accept payments. There are ways that you can turn around and cover those costs and make it very, very inexpensive to take advantage of all this automation and not have it cost a lot of money. And so that's what I want to share with you guys.
And why don't you kind of briefly discuss one of those ways that you're encouraging the customer to jump at the opportunity to go on auto pay?
I'm going to pull up a little example for you guys here. It's kind of quick and dirty, but it's going to work well. I don't know if you guys can see this well, but I'll describe it here. If don't feel like you have to read it all, but this has worked so well for hundreds of our clients, as well as this is, I'm talking about eating my own dog food here. This is exactly the process I developed to get the majority of my point of sale clients over onto recurring. And I'm not saying 100%. You're typically never going to get 100% in anything. I still have some individuals that do pay by check. So, don't take my confidence in this working saying it's 100% of your portfolio is going to convert over this, but I'm going to make a really important point after I describe this, which is something that I've done as well. So 3-part rollout. Upon contract renewal, make an announcement like this 2-3 months early, some really, vanilla copy that you can feel free to use, manipulate as you see fit. But as we all know, the cost of operating a business is constantly increasing. Unfortunately, we're not immune to this fact of life. And to offset the rising costs of overhead and to ensure we continue to provide you with top quality service, we'll be increasing our contract rates by 5% effective blank. Nobody enjoys having cost increase, so in an effort to minimize the impact, we've instituted a process by which you may qualify for a discount from this increase amount. We will be communicating the discount procedure soon in a follow-up email. It's a big teaser there, right? We're talking about having to increase price in the initial communication while also saying there are ways to avoid that or eliminate that, right? And so that's going to initiate conversations. If they call in and want to have a conversation, you're literally going to start talking about number 2. And that would be, if you enroll in auto payment using ACH, you're going to have a 5% off that upcoming cost increase. So essentially a net no increase. You could make that adjustment where you're increasing by 4% and make a 1% increase, what have you. But it's a way that they can get out of that. If they enroll in auto payment on their recurring services on credit card, they're going to see a smaller increase. But what we've done in that scenario, notice that we've increased by a net 3%. So if they're paying by a credit card in that scenario, now we've covered the cost of a credit card. We have eliminated that cost to our bottom line through a slight increase while still offering that client a discount, while accomplishing the most important thing, which is getting them on a recurring payment schedule for our recurring services. Final communication is, basically saying, hey, your 15 days out, just wanted to give you the third reminder that this increase is going to happen. And then the internal step is, making an adjustment for those that didn't contact you. Okay. And at least getting paid a little more for your time to deal with some of those inefficiencies inside of your business. The result of this is twofold. Okay. The result inside of the business is twofold. Number one, let me say threefold. Number one, automated recurring cash coming in on a predictable monthly recurring basis. Powerful inside of your business. If you guys think about $10,000, $20,000 recurring that's being delayed out, whether it's 30, 60 days, 90 days, what have you, bringing that in twice as fast a time frame makes your dollars twice as valuable to deploy inside of your business for sales, marketing, all of that. I know it, I've lived it, and you guys know it as well. The second big benefit is now we've covered the cost. If we do have clients on recurring credit cards, we've covered the nut on that. Credit cards are effectively not costing us dollars anymore, and we have it recurring. The third effect is when you guys have, again, I talked about you're never going to get 100% adoption inside of the business. When you guys have the majority of your recurring revenue coming in on an automated recurring basis, it's going to give you a heck of a lot of power to start looking at those clients that are not going to pay you on an automated basis and making some decisions. I am a huge advocate of, hey, if the client is going to pay on time and they're going to give me a check and I have a big part of my getting paid process automated, fine. I'm not going to rock the boat to a good client that's a good paying client and they're going to pay, they want to pay. And I mean, there's municipalities that just have these processes. I'm not going to be able to force them into an auto pay scenario. I understand that. But for those clients that I realize are bad payers, we're spending a lot of time. Are they potentially abusive to my staff? Now I can start making decisions on, is this actually a good client for my business? And I can tell you, I had a couple of clients inside of the point of sale business that we made that decision. We said, either you're going to fall in line with this process or we're going to have to let you go, and we let them go. And I'll tell you what, we replaced them 5 times over with good clients that pay on time. And that would be a terrifying conversation to have without a large part of dollars coming in on a monthly automated recurring basis. It's a much easier conversation to have as you're making an intelligent business decision based on cash flow becoming automated. We have our good payers, and now we can start making decisions on what I called the problem children. Again, a lot of information here. I'm more than happy to share this. I mean, you don't need to have Connect Booster to use something like this inside of your world as well, and with some other tools. So I'm more than happy to share that. And Steve, if you want to distribute that among the group, and feel free to modify it and play with it and make it your own. But that's kind of a base template, and again, it works well.
I appreciate that. We do have a couple more questions.
Sure.
This one hopefully will just be a quick. Do you have support for Repair Shopper planned as a PSA?
I keep running into it. I don't have it directly on the roadmap because I don't know a ton about it, but I'd be more than happy to have a conversation and learn more about the tool with you if you'd like to reach out and see where we think integration points could create benefit.
I know there are a lot of break fix shops that are turning into MSPs that are still using Repair Shopper. It's not a bad tool.
Yeah.
It's very affordable compared to some of the other bigger PSAs, and
Sure.
it does just about everything they need. So I would say that it's definitely worth you guys looking into. And then what about WiseSync? Do people still need WiseSync to transfer the invoices from ConnectWise to QuickBooks or Xero, or can Connect Booster solve that problem?
Inside of that ConnectWise connected scenario today, yes, we are looking to create that solution. Again, it kind of came up and surprised us inside of that wheelhouse as we were making that integration, because we were so used to ConnectWise behaving one way in their integration with accounting, and this is completely different. So if that's something where you have that transfer in there today, yes, we can play very, very nice. If you don't, let's have a conversation, but we may not be the perfect fit for you today, but we do have a plan to put that solution in place. That being said, again, on the roadmap, it's very hard to define because we do have some other initiatives that fall ahead of it. And I'll be the first to say, as all of us as business owners, sometimes that roadmap can change a little bit. I mean, as business owners and entrepreneurs, you understand you're going where that opportunity and money's at. And so we're evaluating that constantly. I mean, literally on a monthly, quarterly, annual basis.
And same with Autotask. Is it able to handle the sync between Autotask to Connect Booster to accounting?
Yeah, so the Autotask ecosystem has a nice tool that they offer up to transfer those invoices. Yeah, we have a number of Autotask to Xero and Connect Booster integrated users. Mm-hmm.
I know some Xero people are using My Accounting Toolbox, and I think they have to pay for that.
Okay.
So I know that's one of the reasons for that question.
Gotcha.
Now what about, okay, so why are we integrating with Autotask if it's not synchronizing those invoices from Autotask to QuickBooks or whatever? And the same goes for ConnectWise. Why bother integrate with the PSA?
Yeah, number of different things. Number one, invoice image. So if you're using the PSA tool to send out invoices, you don't want to necessarily send over the ugly accounting package. If you're bundling stuff inside of ConnectWise or Autotask, we want to represent to the client that invoice image that you sent them through the PSA tool, and we pull that through. We map them up and we pull through the exact template that you used. So it's seamless. It appears to be literally a complete ConnectWise branded tool. It's just integrated in and it's showing them exactly what they saw. The other thing is when we start talking about triggers on autopay, was we're able to trigger from a recurring agreement, a recurring contract, the way that you're using that PSA tool to invoice. That's a very integral part of how you trigger that automation without being third-party date and dollar amount driven, because that creates all kinds of inefficiencies when your third-party billing tool is billing a client. There's hundreds of tools out there where you can say, bill a client $1,000 on the 5th of the month, and it will do it like bulletproof forever and tell you to do something different. But it has no idea that that same client and that invoice went to $1,050 now. If you don't manually change that before the 5th of the month in the third-party billing tool, it's going to bill the client wrong. Hopefully it bills them less, not more, or you have another conversation to have, right? But there's still that manual intervention. So that integration with the PSA tool is integral to understanding the variations, not only that flowing through to accounting and it's triggered off of, that dollar amount in accounting, but why should this invoice in accounting be auto-paid? Because it came from that ConnectWise agreement. It came from that Autotask contract. So that integration is very powerful inside of in how we're mapping and communicating with both as a piece of middleware inside of those tools. The function of bringing data over into the accounting package, so much of that had already been done when we got inside of the market. There's opportunities, I guess, to recreate some of those wheels, and I do see some demand there, but a lot of times it's why alter a process that's already in place and working really, really good when we can bolt in and create automation on top of it.
And one thing I want to point out, because I apologize, like I said earlier, I'm also in kid mode. I don't know if you've mentioned this, but Connect Booster also shows my customers tickets.
Oh yes, yeah.
So,
that's another thing that great segue there. I appreciate it when we talk about that PSA integration. Yes, we can integrate those service boards as an Autotask user, as a ConnectWise user, and we can become a functional communication engine in addition to automated payments engine as well. Yeah.
And that part has actually been pretty cool for me because, you noticed that there are permissions. I don't know what the right word I'm thinking of is, but you can set different permission levels for each person in a company.
Yes.
So you can actually say every single person within an organization has this level of permission, so that way they can view and update tickets.
Absolutely.
And then you can have a couple people that have access to accounting.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
that's been really cool that people can now use the Connect Booster as kind of their portal to, everything Taylor IT Group for me, for example.
Absolutely.
Now,
Yeah. Thanks for mentioning that.
Absolutely. Now, I do have a tough question for you.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about pricing, because I mean,
Yeah.
this is a really cool tool. How
Yeah.
much does this cost?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the easy answer is flat SaaS. I'm going to kind of give you the top end of everything included with credit card platform access, ECH platform access, all of that is a flat $199 a month. Now, keep in mind that's unlimited internal admins. That's unlimited end users as well. So as you guys continue to grow and scale and build out your business, effectively that cost continues to effectively be smaller per user that you board and bring on board. And one of the things that I would encourage you to do is have a sit down and then take a look at how are you guys getting paid today? What are the costs that we're going to eliminate inside of your organization and savings that we can provide there that are going to eat into that operating cost. Another thing to keep in mind, that $199 is giving you access to that ACH platform that I talked about. That's also giving you, that's the payment gateway wrapped in. And so, let's say you're using a payment gateway for other functions, chances are we can create multiple users for free underneath that payment gateway to run e-commerce. I mean, when I say we're involved in payments, we own an e-commerce firm, we own a web dev firm. We use that payment gateway engine for a lot of different things. So that $199 is not just software as a service for the product. That's included in the gateway tools that many of you guys are already paying for. That's transference cost as well as platform access. Understand what that is, as well as sit down and, we can easily sit down and start formulating an ROI around aging AR, time that you guys are spending, and again, cash on cash return through different types of payments.
And, that's $200 is a lot of money. And I know some of that's going toward the merchant service account for not only credit card processing and ACH, but why don't you guys have some type of tiered, based on number of transactions pricing? Why don't you have something for the smaller shops that maybe only do 20 to 30 invoices a month?
And in fact, we are exploring that model, and that is something that is going to happen. It's complex in terms of its billing and how we monitor. It's certainly something that we are interested in. Literally taking out the scenario of SaaS and having it be like a 0.5% on gross volume run through, with in addition to that, then having a ceiling on what those charges would be, because large organizations, you could end up is it $5,000 a month, something like that could be crazy. So you definitely have to have a floor or ceiling. But yes, we're open to it. I don't have a good time frame for you or when that would be, but we certainly have talked about it and explored it, and it's something that you guys will see from us in the future. But I don't want to mix expectations with, hey, this is something that's going to come out, next week or next month too. I just want to make sure that we're clear on that, and I don't want to mislead you. That would be the worst thing I could do. So.
And what about any of the other systems people use, like TigerPaw, WHMCS? Do you have any other PSA CRM type systems on your roadmap right now?
So TigerPaw, yes, we already integrate to TigerPaw through their client portal. In fact, TigerPaw is unique because the payment piece is right inside of their UI. And so we are the payments partner as BNG Holdings, that brand, our parent company. We handle everything payments for Tiger Paw, everything from a e-check perspective, the security of the payment data, all of that. Again, we're just finishing up the Kaseya PSA connection as well. And so that's something that we'll be communicating out to the community. And a lot of that we just see internal shift in demand from existing client base and, as prospects reach out. So, when you talk about Repair Shopper, you talk about a usage-based pricing model. I mean, that's all stuff that ends up going and getting discussed and put into our planning and roadmap meetings, which is cool. So I appreciate that feedback because it really does help us not only make a better product, but also help us understand our market better, which is awesome. So.
And I'm just curious, I have a question for all of the attendees right now. There were several people that said other for question number 3. If automated, what tool are you using to help you with your accounts receivable, accounts payable? So if you guys could tell me, like, what are you using if you're not using Bill.com or Invoice Sherpa,
Sure.
Other than, whatever is built into your PSA or built into your accounting solution? Because I feel like, unless you're on FreshBooks, there's probably not much automation. Because I know for me, QuickBooks Online has been not very helpful when it comes to reminding people that they owe me some money.
Yeah.
I'm of the mindset of Goodfellas, screw you, pay me. So
thinking of yourself like a utility is really important this day and age, not in the fact that, commoditizing yourself and your services. That's not what I'm talking about. But the fact of the matter is these same people that maybe aren't paying you on an automated basis are paying other vendors on an automated basis because the expectation is set that that's how the relationship is going to go. And so it's happening with those that may be paying you late all the time. They're paying someone else on time.
And my son is blaring Meghan Trainor All About That Bass in the other room now.
I have a little 5-year-old boy that loves that song.
So I see we got some people using PCRT. I don't think I know what that is.
I don't know either. That's really interesting.
I
see there's a Stripe integration, and some people are using credit card processing via Square. So so that makes sense. Stripe and Square are both pretty big in the credit card processing these days because with them that you're always going to pay this one flat rate. Now the thing that frustrates me about Square is that they advertise that 2.75 or whatever percent.
Yeah, not the case when you key in.
Yeah, when you key in, it's like 3.5 plus something else.
Yeah.
So looking at 3.5 versus, I think I'm paying approximately like 2.25 ish with Connect Booster right now. I think. I don't even know. I'd have to look. But everything's
we go
keyed.
in and look at the overall effective rate. Yeah.
I mean, everything's keyed, which, I mean, that is pretty affordable in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
PC Repair Tracker. I have heard of that. It's just never abbreviated. Well, do you have so we talked about the 199. I mean, now I got to ask another hard question.
Yeah.
Do you have any deals or anything for the people that have attended the webinar today?
Just writing down a note.
That's okay.
Yeah. Great question. So we normally have an onboarding implementation fee. That's typically a one-time $5.99. A lot of people say, okay, that's gonna grab money, type of a fee. Steve, you can probably attest to that. The onboarding process is involved. It's not a good luck. Hopefully you figure this out. We are spending quality time with you to ensure your success and know that you use the tool, because whether you're paying $10 a month, $200 a month, or $2,000 a month, any one of those prices can be an expensive tool if it's not being used appropriately and it's throwing dollars away. We're going to be able to show you an ROI with our tool. We're going to sit down on a one-on-one basis if you want to engage with us and talk through that and see what it looks like for you. But the flip side is we've been running a couple of show specials this year, and I'd like to extend that to the group, but we'll do half off of those implementation fees, and also engage us on the payments methods and projecting out reducing costs on payments. There are many, many times that I have clients that are taking $20, $50, $60 a month out of operating costs. They're paying for Connect Booster out of savings from operating costs that we've uncovered purely in a payment processing play, where it's paying for the product time over, like double over. So, engage with us and have that conversation. I'd say talking with myself or any of our sales staff, we're very low key. We do not close deals. We consult, and if there is an opportunity to help you guys out, we'll open the door to that opportunity to help you out. If not, there's not going to be a bunch of people bothering you trying to, close down the deal. That's not how we do business. So just having a conversation and understanding what that ROI would be worth the time, but more than happy to offer up a nice discount on implementation, which is going to ensure that you're using the tool and getting the value out of the tool. And Steve, why don't you talk a little bit about ROI in terms of the tool, using it yourself? I mean, it's.
So for me, I can attest to the fact that the onboarding time, I had no idea. I think it was like a couple hours or 3 hours. I mean, it was a long time we spent on onboarding, which I'd never realized would take that long for such a small company like mine. But I mean, we went through every piece of the tool and we set it up together. It wasn't like here's how you do it. Watch this video. It was me and Trevor. And what's Trevor's title there?
He's the head of implementation and support.
Okay. And I think there's one or two other guys that also do implementation.
Yep.
And Trevor, well, I mean, he was just, top notch as far as going through every piece of the system, helping me make sure it's configured correctly, putting my logos in there. It was, it's just set up perfectly. So now as far as using it day to day, I mean, I'm in there every now and then, just sending out the what do you call those? The account reminders.
Oh yeah, like a notification.
Screw you, pay me. And I know that you have it on your roadmap as far as automating some of those reminder emails, so that way we can customize how frequently those are sent out.
Yeah. That's about a 4-week release for some really cool customization and dunning notices.
Kids are great.
No worries, man. This is great. I love it.
So as far as how long I'm spending with accounts receivable, I'd say maybe an hour a month now, when I used to be spending more like 3 or 4. Yeah. And the 3 or 4 was because, not only would I have to go in and manually key all these things into Stripe or Square or whatever, because, I didn't know which one I wanted to use at the time. Now I've just got my system. But I would also have to go and call people and say, hey, where's my money? Or wait for the check to come in, or, whatever. So, it's just been a lot easier for me with Connect Booster. I mean, I'll be the first person to raise their hand and say I hate spending $200 a month on this. Yeah. But I'll also be the first person to say, this is probably the one bill I don't mind paying. Yeah. Because it's the one that's making it so much easier to collect all my money. Sure. And I want to say right now, guys, he's not paying me to say any of this stuff. I'm not getting any money to do this webinar for Connect Booster.
Allegedly, Steve. Allegedly.
Oh, that's how we're gonna do this, Ryan. That's how we're gonna do this. So I just want you to know, I'm doing this because I believe in the product. I use the product, and it works amazingly for me. And I know that it can help all of you guys out as well.
I appreciate it, bud.
Absolutely. So I think we've answered all of the questions. Someone asked if there's going to be more polls. The answer is no. I don't have any more polls. My last webinar, we did like 4 or 5 polls.
Gotcha.
But the last one was also much more information to bring in. So
Sure.
with that said, I think we've answered everyone's questions. So I think now's a good time for us to wrap up. And if anyone has any additional questions, or they just want to reach out and have a conversation with somebody at Connect Booster, how can they get in touch with you, Ryan? Do you have contact info you can throw up on the screen?
Yeah. So we have a couple of different ways. Guys, my personal email also is very simple, Ryan, RYAN, at connectbooster.com. So feel free to reach out to me, directly if you have any questions. If I get overloaded, sometimes I do. I can always bring in some of my staff to help out as well and delegate that. But I'm more than willing to have those conversations. Love it. I still get involved in the sales process in Connect Booster. I'm a born and bred solutions consultant, so I love it. It's hard for me to walk away from it. But if you go to our contact us page, fill out that form, certainly we'll reach out to you. You'll notice also there's an info at connectbooster.com, which of course I am on that, as well as a couple of my other management staff. So you'll be attended to. And again, my direct email is Ryan at connectbooster.com.
So that's easy enough. It's just Ryan instead of info. Doesn't get much easier than that.
Ryan.
And the same goes if anyone has any questions for me as a Connect Booster user, I'm here to try and help answer some questions as well. My email is steve@tayloritgroup.com. You can also sign up for other webinars like this one by going to msp.tayloritgroup.com. I just tossed that in the chat for everyone to check out. That is just basically a mailing list that you get put onto. I'm just sending out emails to let people know when recordings are up, when new webinars are scheduled, that type of thing. So yeah, thanks so much, Ryan, for doing this. I really appreciate it. And I hope you have a great day. And everyone, I hope you reach out to Ryan, because honestly, this is cool software. It's going to help you guys out a lot.
Thanks again, Steve. And thanks to everyone for attending. And, feel free if you have any questions, follow-up questions. Again, like I said, no strings attached. Love having that conversation. And if there's any value that I can add inside of your business, even just in process and even how to have those conversations with clients about automated billing, you do not have to use our product to walk down this road, and I'm more than happy to add value. So feel free to engage, and I'll help you any way I can have those conversations. And again, no expectation of buying a product to do that. I'd love to have the conversation. And hey, if you see us at one of our channel shows, make sure to stop by and say hi. I'd love to meet you face to face and shake hands and put a face to the webinar name.
Awesome. Thanks, Ryan. You have yourself a great day.
You as well. Take care, guys.